Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. This is our draft prospect show, and we're going to have an over and under show. We're going to talk about someone from the University of Tennessee that is home to our founder and co-host Vincent Turner. My over under is going to be four of my beloved Tennessee Volunteers. I think you're going to say over on four at least four times. You're going to talk about how valuable this young man that we're going to be talking today has been to you and your enhancement for the love of the game of football. Of course, I'm teasing folks, but for Logan Landers, our producer and engineer, Vincent Turner, our guest, our host and founder, we're going to talk today about Omarr Norman-Lott, a defensive tackle out of the University of Tennessee. Big bodied guy, Vincent. When I first see who doesn't need another 6'5", 300-pounder on the defensive line that can play in multiple positions, has an excellent first step, great explosiveness. And is there a need in every NFL locker room for an extra guy like that?
One thing for sure, when we leave today, I think he has a first round grade on him. I went to one of the draft sites called WalterNFL.com, and they had him going 15 to the Atlanta Falcons. Can you believe that? This is a gentleman started his career at Arizona State, out of Sacramento, California, out of Grant Union High School. Was same high school Shaq Thompson, right now with Carolina Panthers. Dante Stallworth, they played with the New England Patriots. Ontario Smith, who was a real good football player at the University of Oregon. And Paris Warren, who was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All those gentlemen went to the same high school as this young man. As I mentioned earlier, a few seconds ago, he started his career at Arizona State. Josh Heupel got him to come to Tennessee, and he sold him on this premise. He said, young man, you're 6'5", you're 330. And look at the list of great defensive tackles in linemen that we're putting in the NFL. John Henderson, first rounder. Albert Hainsworth, first rounder. Darius McCord back in the 50s, I believe was a second rounder. Sean Ellis, first rounder. Doug Atkins, first rounder. Chris Goforth, man. How you doing today, Chris? And most of all, I'm going to give it back to my very handsome co-host, who he knows personally, Reggie White, first rounder. That's why this young man attended the University of Tennessee and left Arizona State. Back to you, Hawk.
Well, you look at the picture on the left, and you're saying there's no way that a guy with a waist that small, now he's got a little bit of a gut, don't get me wrong, but he's 335 pounds. Are you kidding me? So he wears it well, right? And there's room to grow. Maybe he goes to 325, but he becomes a monster like what Reggie was. Reggie was 6'5", he was about 295 back in the day. Reggie said he was 295, but I guarantee you after Thanksgiving, there was no way he was anything under 305. I promise you. He never would admit that, okay? But as big and powerful and as strong as Reggie was, as athletic, as dominant, that's something that you want a defensive lineman. And Omarr has all of that stuff as well. He had 4 sacks this past year. He had 5.5 back in 2023. You mentioned that he was a transfer. He was only at Tennessee for 2 years. Originally comes out of California. But again, that 6'5" frame, he can align at multiple positions. I don't know if I'd put him on the center, but what an advantage you would have if you go with like a bear type defense. You can put him over a guard, a tackle. What type of damage you think he would do against a tight end? He would blow it up in terms of his versatility. He can knock back the offensive pass linemen in their pass pro. He gets them back a lot quicker than most others do. Explosive first step, but a powerful first move. That bull rush that he has is certainly one of those things at the point of attack that is an outstanding asset to have, and he doesn't have to go very far to pull that up for him. Great balance. He sheds blockers well, and then is able to maintain his gap discipline. Those are some of the things that really stick out for me, Vincent. Obviously, as a Volunteer fan, you've seen more and know more of Volunteer fans and what their critiques are. Give us a little insight on where Omarr is with them.
You look at the game film and him being dominant just in the run game and the pass game and him wreaking havoc and creating double teams. Go back to the Alabama game. He had only 1 tackle, but look how the Tennessee defense played on the line that day. Look what they did against Jalen Marrow. Against Georgia, he had 2 tackles. Against Vanderbilt, 2 tackles and a half a sack. Florida, he had 2 tackles and a sack. And North Carolina State, which I think is his best game to this date, and this is what got the NFL scouts really looking at him. 3 tackles and 1 sack. He's a guy. Think about this. If he was with the Atlanta Falcons, how much pressure he'd take off Grady Jarrett? He would be a player that's going to be playing at a high level when it's all said and done. I like the young man, not because he went to the University of Tennessee, but he's what NFL teams need today at that level. If you're talking about moving with your defense in this league, Chris Jones, I don't have to say no more. Right now, playing with the Kansas City Chiefs. Back to you, Hawk.
Yeah, Chris is a difference maker. He's not only a half a foot taller than everybody else, but he's able to use his leverage, his size, and his speed to his advantage. One of the things that I think Omarr will need to have around him is a couple other good players, especially on the defensive line, so that will avoid double teams, and that would help tremendously. But pairing him, let's just say the Falcons make that pick, and having Grady Jarrett next to you, one of you is going to get doubled, and maybe you have to go to an outside guy for a double. So being a part of a 3-4 man line, if you're on a 4-3 type defense, will be an extra added plus to where you can step in on day one and really take advantage of your strengths, which are your first step, your outstanding power, the speed that you have for your size, your athleticism, your violent nature where you can really stun an offensive lineman and push him back. Those are some of the things that really stand out. But one of the weaknesses, I think, Vincent, and I'm not sure if you'll agree with me, is just his consistency overall. He gets tired quick because he's heavy. And so there's one play where he plays outstanding and you think he's an All-American, and the next play he doesn't have that same effort. So I think that'll be something that needs to change in terms of his off-season conditioning, the way he impresses at the combine, for him to be able to overcome stuff like that. Sometimes because he's 6'5", he looks like he's playing a little high and guys get underneath him and they fit into him. We'll talk about that with our next athlete. But you get past some of those things. You have a great 40 time. You bench press 2 1/4 in the 30s or maybe even in the low 40s. You'll make an impression and move yourself up.
That's why I'm glad you brought that up, his point, and I agree with you, him being consistent. There was a lot of scouts at the Ohio State-Tennessee game said he disappeared that game early on, and that might have been the difference of Ohio State blowing the smokes off Tennessee that game. He's got a great chance to be an outstanding football player, man. California guy, one more time. Arizona State by the University of Tennessee. Obviously, right now, the next couple of months are going to be very critical, but this is a guy, I'm saying, Hop, if he goes put up good numbers, and you know how the combine goes, say he runs a decent time. I don't know if he's playing in the Senior Bowl or not. Here's a guy, based on what the NFL wants right now in the D tackle position, he could probably squeeze up to being a top 10 pick. Back to you, Hop.
Yeah, just because of his size alone. There aren't a lot of guys that can move like that at that size, and that just puts you in a whole different bracket. So hard work, my friend. Young man, make sure that you do plenty of that. And then, by the way, work hard. It always pays off, my friend. And maybe in this respect, it'll move you up, and the dollar signs will be even bigger on draft day. But we wish you all the best. Omarr Norman-Lott is our defensive tackle from the University of Tennessee that we're featuring right here and now. We wish him the best. We hope that he has a chance to be one of those high-end prospects that turns out to be a Pro Bowler and have a lifelong career, and hopefully some rings that are associated with it, because sky's the limit for this young man. We appreciate you tuning in today. Logan Landers is our producer and engineer. Our co-host and founder is Vincent Turner, and I'm Harper LaBelle saying thank you for tuning in to 100 Yards of Football.